Okay, all right. Honorable Minister, let me just ask you as we are winding up, what are the potential opportunities and challenges for sustainable, housing development in Nigeria, and how can they be addressed?
Well, there are two ways to it. One thing we have to know that government cannot provide all. So that's why the government funding has to be sustained in such a way that there should be sustained an increase in the budgetary allocations for housing, because it's a one fact. Whatever you provide the government fund for construction of houses under the budgetary allocations, I assure you 60% of that funding will be returned back to the government at the end of the construction. If you give us 300 billion, I assure you within the next 2 years of completion of those houses, 200 billion after the sale of those houses will be returned back to you, because at least 100 can be used to subsidize the cost of the houses, or 150. So something will have to be returned to it. That's what I want the government, especially the budget unit of the government, to know, that funding housing, apart from the fact that substantial part of this funding will return back to government, you are creating jobs for Nigerians.
Okay.
And apart from creating jobs, you are empowering the local economies and ensure that you sustain it. That is the only way to do it. So if you don't do that, I think that is on the other side of the government. On the private sector, we have to ensure that all the bottlenecks that has to do with the PPP arrangement has been streamlined. So through our administration, we are able to engage the ICRC to show them that the PPP under road construction or other infrastructure should be taken differently from the PPP under the housing. Under housing, if a private sector comes and invests, he will recoup his money within 2 years. But if you give that same amount of money to a road user who constructs a road, he can extend it up to 10, 15 years before he recoups that his investment. Because he can only recoup it maybe through toll getting. But this one, you develop it even off plan while you are doing construction, you recover at least a substantial part of it to it. So we have to ensure that honestly we sustain the PPP arrangement, private sector arrangement, and we have to keep on urging government, especially the National Assembly and the budget office under the Ministry of Budget, to keep funding the housing sector, because it's one way that will create jobs and it's one way that will also boost the local economies.
So practically we're saying that Nigerians should just, relax, and getting access to housing will be easy.
Very well. Nigerians should rest assured that under this administration, housing will be more affordable and accessible to Nigerians. And it is going to be an inclusive way whereby all categories of income will be catered for.
Okay, I have these questions from some of our viewers. This one says, good morning, my name is Binta Abdullahi. Please let us tell ourselves the truth. A core civil servant who relies solely on his hard-earned money, that is the salary, can't buy a house with a loan from Federal Mortgage Bank. Firstly, what one can assess as loan will not pay for the house in Abuja. And the houses forfeited, I bet, there he's talking about the houses forfeited now. He said, I bet you only the rich will be able to buy them. Now this one says, good morning, Honorable Minister. Please, you should please intervene. Nigeria Bar Association has allocated a whopping 10% to ourselves for all change of property title agreement. This is outrageous, considering that there are other charges. This huge transaction cost has worsened the issue of home ownership.
Yes, and let me quickly take this before you answer that. He said, please, Minister, let's learn from the private sector. The easiest way for Nigerians to be house owner is to employ site and service strategy. That is why the private sector has taken over the industry, and Federal Housing Authority is struggling. Let the government acquire land and construct road and power with electricity and sell the land in small plots for people to develop and supervise development. That is John Ade from Abuja.
Okay. Thank you for that insight, because he needs to know that under the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, under our urban sector, we are also doing the site and services scheme. whereby some of the land that we are having, we erect the infrastructure, the road drainages, bring water and electricity. And then we cut off the plots and then dispose to the general public. So it's one way of doing that. And once you do that, we give you a title. With that title, you can now approach the bank, the Federal Mortgage Bank, and acquire loan for individual construction loan. So I thank him for bringing that, but he needs to know that the ministry is also doing that in many of the steps that we are currently doing under our national urban planning sector. Then the issue of affordable housing. Nigerians need to know that that's why the ministry is now doing this. The houses we are constructing currently under this administration are much cheaper than the ones that have been constructed under the previous administration. Not because of anything, we are targeting the individual who will own the houses. You don't have to build the house and put the tiling and put the POP. Do it in such a way that the houses will be affordable and habitable to whoever wants to access it. At least the target audience, which are the low and medium income earners. Once they can be able to access it, then they can improve upon the houses and then to their own level. And the issue of the 753 houses we've acquired, we're still in planning stage. That's why we don't intend to finish them off at that level. We intend to semi-finish them so that they could be affordable to individuals. And once we sell them off, individuals can invest whatever they want to invest to complete it. Some will even take it as a carcass and just plaster and enter, depending on what you can afford. So we are doing that, and we are considering a lot of that. On the issue of Nigerian Bar Association, which he says is an issue to which we have to engage the Nigerian Bar Association. If it is in their scale of fees, their professional scale of fees, there's nothing we could do about it apart from the fact that it has to be on legislation. Because every profession has its own approved, federal government approved scale of fees. Like we have it in the architects and the quantity surveyors and other the built environment and engineers. But Nigerian Bar Association, we have to call on them that if it is not within their own professional scale of fees, please let them reduce that charges at least half the price to 5% instead of 10% for them to do that.